To introduce our second nominator is board member Arun Ramanathan.
So I have the privilege of introducing an extraordinary young man, Kushal Patel. Kushal came here from India when he was 10 years old. His family had waited for a while to move to this country, and in fact his father passed away the year before he came. They came here to San Jose, and he came and went to Independence High School. And he loved Independence because of the mix of people and cultures in the school. But he had a hard time understanding what anyone was saying because he didn't speak very much English at the time, and the American accent was almost indecipherable to him. So he did two things to transition into this country. First, he took ESL classes, and the second, he became an Oakland Raiders fan. And has stayed that way ever since. So Kushal learned to speak English perfectly, has an amazing American English accent right now. And he got a degree in aeronautical engineering. He got his BA in San Diego. And right now, and he got his master's in aeronautical engineering, and he's working as an aeronautical engineer, strangely enough. And basically, the fact that we are all alive right now, anyone here who has flown, is due to Kushal. Because those things that hang under the wings of airplanes are the things that Kushal works on. And if they fall off, it's because Kushal messed up. But he hasn't messed up yet. So, by the way, he is also an eligible bachelor, but I've already taken care of this. I have many young nieces that I think I could set him up with. So, Kushal, please come up here.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to congratulate all the teachers on receiving this amazing award. You guys definitely deserve this award for all your amazing hard work and all the impact that you guys have had on your students' lives. I could definitely speak for Mr. Pryor from my personal experience. During my time at Independence High School, Mr. Pryor was as much a teacher as he was my friend. And he continues to be my friend to this day. If desired, a teacher can simply teach the lesson, teach the curriculum, give out the exams, give the homework, and finish the class. It is not a teacher's duty to be a friend to his or her students. But Mr. Pryor was someone special. There are few who go out of their way to really get to know the student, and Mr. Pryor was one of those few. As a shy sophomore who was still learning to get used to high school, I was not really a student who interacted much with teachers at the time. And part of it was also, as Mr. Arun mentioned, I was new to the country and I wasn't exactly sure how best to interact with teachers, and I always felt a little shy as to how I may come off, being in a new culture. Mr. Pryor's unique teaching style and way of connecting with his students allowed me to open up to him. After becoming acquainted with his teaching style, I realized that he was a teacher that I could easily approach and ask any question that I wanted. He was always excited and happy to answer my questions. Before I knew it, I found myself liking the subject of history largely due to Mr. Pryor. And by profession, I'm an engineer, so you might wonder, what am I doing nominating a history teacher? Well, history is one of my favorite subjects, and it's largely because of him that it is so. I can't remember how many times I've found myself in his classroom at lunch, arguing and debating current events and politics. Even though he clearly knew better, he would still entertain me, and he would still make me feel important as if my opinion actually had, some sense in it. So, thank you. But no, really, he always challenged me to question my stance and support it with legitimate evidence. And I think that's really important for moving on to college and in your future. You know, he really taught me to do that. And he always challenged me to do this. And as a student, if I wasn't having a good day, or any of his other students, if they weren't having a good day, he didn't just, care about teaching the subject of history. Rather, he approached the students as their friends. He'd want to know what's going on with their lives. He would come up to me and he would try to learn about my background, about my life, about where I came from. And that really stood out to me, because there's very few teachers who actually do that. And just as he did with many of his other students, he would sit with me and he would, ask me how my life is going and things outside of just class. And if a student was not behaving or wasn't having a good day, he didn't simply just lash out at them. He would sit with them and he'd want to know what's going on in their personal lives. And I think that's really important. And Mr. Pryor has a really unique way of making mischievous students behave and shy students talk. You got to be in his classroom to really experience this. And high schoolers are teenagers after all. And we're pretty confused people at that time of our lives. So I think sometimes students need more than a lecturer and a teacher. And I think they need a friend in a teacher. And Mr. Pryor was just that. He proved to me that it's indeed possible for a teacher to be friends with the students, regardless of age, gender, or background. And, he used to tell, one of the things that if you ask any of Mr. Pryor's students is his innate ability to tell stories, and great stories. And these stories are his personal stories from his personal life. And he has a way to relate that to history, as well as to teach students important lessons about decision-making and its consequences. And, I applaud him for that, for sharing those stories with us, even though they were personal. Not only did they make us laugh, but they actually taught us some really important things. So, I'm grateful for that. I can go on for days here, but I just want to say that, Mr. Pryor, you're part of a rare breed of teachers who continue to inspire who continues to inspire his students through his hard work, his charisma, and his loving attitude. Keep it up, and congratulations to you. You deserve every bit of it.
Thank you. Congratulations. Kushal.
Thank you.
I don't know, teachers, you know what I'm talking about, what I'm about to say. Have you ever been in the room where the kid that comes to you, is smarter than you? You know what I'm talking about? And so then you're just like, okay, how do I try to make myself look okay for the rest of this year? Because this kid is just so beyond me, and that's Kushal. He's an amazing, amazing person. In fact, the reason that I'm getting this award tonight is really because I bullied Kushal for 2 years. He'd come to me and talk to me about space and landing on the moon, and he was so into it. And I would just be like, dude, you know that we didn't really go there. And he'd just be wrecked. He'd just be like, what? I'm like, yeah, all us Americans, we know that. It's just And so he'd come back the next day and he had read tons of stuff. And he'd show me, there's mirrors on the moon, Mr. Pryor. How'd they get there? Aliens. Aliens put them there, Kushal. But just constantly, just day in and day out, he was just so just excited to learn. And he's just so passionate. And he's just an amazing young man. And I'm just proud to call him my friend. And very proud that you're here tonight with me. So thank you so much. You're the best. I didn't, Tim said talk from your heart. So thanks a lot, Gary, for doing that. Really appreciate that. But I wanted to thank my wife first, because she's the one that actually got me to become a teacher. She thought that it was a good fit for me and I should do that. And so she encouraged me to get into teaching. So I wanted to thank you first and foremost. And I wanted to thank the Carlston family for having this amazing award. It inspires me to continue to do good things, and it's just it just feels so good to be honored, and we all want to be honored in what we do. And I wanted to thank Tim so much for all of the emails and all of the constant feedback, and he's really good at what he does. I think he's got the best job in the world, actually. Yeah. And so I wanted to I just wanted to say, I'm just going to share one story. I like to tell stories, so I'm going to tell you one story. I grew up in a country town, and in my country town, Murphy's, California. I don't know if anyone knows Murphy's. Yeah. I went to high school at Bret Hart High School, Angels Camp, California, battling bullfrogs. Yeah. Pretty fierce mascot. And so at lunchtime, we had open campus, and we could drive off campus and go to lunch. And we got into this tradition where me and my buddies would drive off campus, and we'd race this group of girls to the Frosty Freeze. And that was the place to go to. And so we would go to the Frosty Freeze, we'd hang out, but it was a race every day at lunch. Didn't matter if we were buying our lunch or not, we'd race to the Frosty Freeze. And we won every day of our sophomore year that we could drive, we won. We won our junior year every single day, and we won almost every day of our senior year as well, until this one day. The girls were in the lead, and they were running out to the parking lot to get into their car to beat us to the Frosty Freeze. And my friend Dennis, who's running down into the parking lot, decides that he's going to sacrifice himself. And he lays himself down behind the white Ford Festiva of Monica Roleri. Lays himself down behind the white Ford Festiva, just face down on the pavement, so that we could get to our car and she couldn't back up out of her spot and that we would win. Seemed like a good plan. So we get to our car, and as we get to my car, I'm the one driving, we see the backup lights go on and the reverse lights go on, and we're just kind of like, whoa, Dennis, the backup lights are on. Sure enough, Monica just backs right over the top of Dennis. And all of us are like, Dennis, you just ran over Dennis. And she's like, oh my gosh. So she puts it in first, runs back over him again. Runs over him 2 times. Ladies and gentlemen, Dennis lived. Jumped into the car, and we won the race to Frosty Freeze. You will never win the race unless you lay your life down for what you believe in. Thank you very much.